60 Northwest Broad Street, on Church Street in the Barfield area, in Smyrna on Sam Ridley, and Toots West on
The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. Portions of our programming have been pre-recorded. The Good Neighbor Network, WGNS, Murfreesboro, Smyrna. Flagship station for MTSU Sports.
Are you concerned with the state of America, your state, and your community? Then you're in the right place. This is the Rutherford Magazine Show with host Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
All right, this is the Rutherford Magazine Show. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Got Jackson, our producer, in the house. He's a little under the weather. Got a mask on. I don't think he can talk. Can you?
I can.
Yeah, okay. A little worried about, boy, something's going around. That's for, I know you're feeling bad, and man, a lot of folks feeling bad.
Yeah.
Flu, COVID, pneumonia.
I don't know. I don't know. I came down with it literally the night before.
What are you taking?
Oh, just Dayquil.
Dayquil?
Yeah, Dayquil, soup, ginger ale, the normal stuff.
What kind of soup?
I'm a big fan of Lipton.
Oh, really?
I don't. Unfortunately, I'm not really someone that's really big on soups.
Do you make it yourself, or somebody make it for you, or?
Well, I have my girlfriend make it for me.
So she can cook?
Yeah, she can cook.
I guess you better say that if you're live on the radio.
Yeah. They already know. I think I'm personally the better cook between
Oh, really?
those two.
Oh.
Because I love cooking. They don't.
Do
Really
you
cook
really?
that much.
Good for you.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't cook. I don't cook.
I think it's very fun. I'd recommend you give it a shot.
Well, that'd be a good ministry if any pastors are out there listening. Maybe, start up a group and teach men how to cook. Saturday morning, do a prayer breakfast or something. Speaking of cooking, we had our big 13th annual chili cook-off last night, and some of the, one of the guys I was going to get to judge, he was under the weather. Commissioner Anthony Johnson was going to judge. He was feeling bad. A lot of folks feeling bad. A couple of folks that were going to come out text me. They said, "Man, they're just under the weather."
See, that's the thing is I don't know where I picked it up from.
Yeah. That's what scared me about last night because we're shaking a lot of hands, kissing a lot of babies.
Yeah.
Sometimes shaking babies and kissing hands. And here comes our trusty intern walking in. He knows how to get to a man's heart. That joker made me some coffee. What kind of coffee is it? What kind of coffee is it? You said it's some kind of, what's the word, bougie? Is that how you say it, bougie? Bougie.
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 Yeah. Bougie.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Doing good.
Sorry.
That was really nice of you. I was going to stop by McDonald's, and I've got this trailer behind me. I'm pulling. I didn't really want to be going through the drive-thru.
Yep.
Went over to Marty Luffman's house, and
how's he doing, by the way?
he's give God the glory, man. Just continue to pray for him. He had that bad car wreck, and he's been paralyzed from the waist down. And I know he believes in power prayer. I believe in power prayer, and I know you do as well. And in fact, I just left. I prayed with him. Him and Joel. Lux is Joel is working on a book for him. Yeah, he's got a book that's going to be rolling out, and he took about 20 something steps a day. He said it was 40 something, and I went back because I'm not going to tell somebody to take 40 steps and it's not 40. So I went back and I literally counted because I was there. I took video of him, but he did. He knocked out about 20 steps with the walker, and so he's improving and he has hope. A lot of folks need hope, and Marty's just had a good attitude, and I think that's a lot of perseverance, man. Your mindset. Just, having that can-do attitude. And I couldn't imagine not being able to walk. I wanted him to come up here, but folks know WGNS, there's some big steps up here.
Yeah.
And, I told him, I said, man, we can get Mark Lewis. We can get a couple of Gerald Martins, big guy that they're both them guys are probably 280, you know. And I said, man, they'll pick you up, carry you up here. So I think he was a little worried about it. But no, thanks for the coffee. And
Yeah, no.
he's been under the weather, you know.
Yeah.
He told
Everybody
me.
has. Everybody has. I was last week.
Well, oh, were you?
Yeah.
Our pastor, Shelby Hazard, Parkway Baptist Church, he was really sick.
Yeah.
His whole family weren't they?
It's the flu's going around.
Well,
Luckily, I tested myself. I have like take-home COVID tests, and all of them came back negative.
I hope I don't get nothing.
Yeah.
See,
But
tomorrow
it's the flu. It's the seasonal flu. That's
we
what
go
it
back
is.
in a session this week, and we're close to other. We're real close to other people in the chamber, because you're just getting coffee or whatever. You're just a couple feet, like me and Jay Reedy sit together, and our legs are almost touching each other. We're that close. They did put during COVID. They did put some plexiglass screens up.
Yeah.
You know, and Representative Jay Reedy says he likes it that way. I don't talk to him. He's a great guy. Jay is. I was talking about the chili cook-off. We had a record turnout. We're at Sam Davis' home. I want to thank Roger Thomas, and we had a just awesome event last night. And thank my wife, and she worked so hard on this, because I don't go hire people to do all this. We just do all this ourselves.
Yeah.
And my mother-in-law, Brenda Smith, helped. I want to give a shout out to our chili winners. Pastor Randy Berg, who I didn't even know could cook, Grace Church in Laverne. I wish I had him on camera. We had 20-something entries, and we had to turn down a couple that got there a little late because they've already started judging. And I knew who the winners were, and I had Judge Brittany Stevens announce it, and I looked over, and because we started with third place. Third place was Terry Anderson, my friend Al Anderson from high school. In fact, Al's working on a screenplay or a book about DeWitt Smith Job, a Coleman scout who was tortured during the Civil War. A lot of folks really don't know that story. So he's working on that. And she took third. Bradley Austin. Brad helps me a lot. Brad took second, him and his girlfriend. And I was really pleased to see him take second. And then Randy Berg, and I looked at Randy when she announced it, and he just looked shocked. Like, I won.
Yeah.
And I was kidding some guys. I was like, man, I'm going to do an award for the worst chili. And I was real serious, and they looked like, no, man, you better not do with the worst chili, But now my wife, a guy that I used to do a lot of business with back in the day, Terry and Tori Caudale, great guys. And he asked me about setting up an old cast iron pot, like for chili. He says, we got a whole setup. And I was like, man, I've never had anybody ask to do that, And so I said, well, yeah, come on. And, man, he had a whole setup and outdoor cooking. And it was really pretty neat. And he says, the guy with him, I wish I had his number or name. Tori was telling me the guy had won some kind of national contest or something. But it's one thing about chili contests, not that I know much about other than we've done 13 of them, was that you can have somebody who's probably a good cook, like Jim Africano, who's owned a couple restaurants. Jim came with his little cigar lounge set up, and Midtown Hot Rodders came out with a few cars and
the folks that
classic
ran here
cars.
last week?
Yeah, they had 105 cars over there back in October, if I'm not mistaken. And we didn't have 105 last night, being cold, and it was raining that morning. But they did get the little fire going over behind Sam Davis' home. And her daughter won the grand prize. Wish I had her daughter's name, forgot it. But it was a $200-something toolbox donated by Elders Hardware in Smyrna. Gill's Hardware?
Yeah.
Well, now it's Elders Hardware. I think they own 30 Ace Hardwares. So they were very gracious to donate that toolbox. And I thought somebody said she was going to use it like a makeup, like a cabinet makeup. But then somebody told me that she rides motorcycles. So I didn't know. But, man, we had an awesome event. I wish you could have made it. What'd you say happened to you?
It just escaped my mind. I was busy taking care of some other things. So.
It just wasn't important to you then? No, I'm kidding you. It went really good.
Yep.
I talk about strange coincidences sometimes, and I call them synchronicities. And we had a prayer breakfast that Mark Lewis kind of handled the prayer breakfast, and I thought it'd be something neat because we do that Man of Hope prayer breakfast.
Yep.
And it was more like just a Bible study. And Mike Saranaski and Nick Corbett sometimes make coffee. Well, they'll always make coffee and cook up a little breakfast. And he had I was on the way to Home Depot to get a couple door prizes they gave us for the Smyrna history lessons. And Mark said, "Hey, do they have a coffee pot?" I said, "Well, they've got a little tiny coffee pot, one of them like little bitty coffee pots." And so I was like, "Hey, I got this coffee, this big thing of Folgers." And I was like, "I'm going to bring it by your office," because that morning he was going to go to the Hope Fellowship. He was going to go ahead and make coffee that morning. And I go into Home Depot. Manager comes around the corner, gives me a hug, and she said, "Hey, look what we got for you." Guess what it was?
It was a big old coffee pot.
Yeah, I didn't know Home Depot sells coffee pots.
I didn't either. That's news to me too.
I mean, what's the odds of me talking about they need a coffee pot and all of a sudden that's a coffee pot they donate? And they also donate a tire inflator.
Oh,
Laverne Barton, Laverne and Tommy Barton goes to church with us.
yeah.
They won it. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, they won it. In fact, I think his wife won that, and then he won something else too. But anyways, chili was great, and we raised probably. Somebody thought it was about $1,000 in canned goods for the little food pantries around town.
Yep.
Living Springs Baptist Church out Weekly, they've got a food pantry. Brenda Bryant, her church. I think and Kathy Tyson, they were on the radio with me a couple weeks ago. I think they said there's three food pantries or something in Laverne. So, anyways, I think they're coming over to the house tonight. I've got it. The pallet there with Tony Campbell hooked them up. He went out and bought a whole pallet from Save a Lot. But how's things going for you?
Good.
You get registered for school?
Yeah, I just got my all my stuff taken care of in the last couple of weeks, so I'm good to go.
What and what's your master's going to be in?
It's not a master's; it's a second bachelor's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, has advisors kind of recommended that?
It's not necessarily recommended. It was just did some really long and hard thinking, just trying to find jobs in this field right now, this sort of media field. But and then just stuff just fell through, and then I just said, hey, why don't I just go back to school and study something that really interests me, which is history. Yeah. And so that's
why does history interest you?
Well, if history wasn't interesting, then no one would know anything.
What do you think? But I'm surprised at your age. How old are you?
25.
25. When I was 25, I really wasn't that. I mean, I was a little interested in history, but I'm more interested. I think when you get older, you get more interested.
Well, I think it's just because my generation, we have almost, some might say it's bad, but almost unlimited access to the internet. And it's when you have that unlimited access to something like that, then you start going down these rabbit holes.
Man, it's right. You're in a hotbed of activity, and right here in Rutherford County, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially.
Do you think people even realize that?
I don't think so.
I don't think they do neither.
I mean, when I was interning at Stones River over here, a lot of our visitors come in and they say, "What battle is this? I've never heard about this."
Serious?
Yeah. A lot of them
from up north.
Well, yeah. But some of them are from around the south, and they come in and go, "What battle is this? I've never heard about this." I said, "Oh, this is the Battle of Stones River." I said, "Oh, what? What is it? What is that about?" And so we give them we gave them the rundown. Why it was important.
Now, who's the park ranger over there?
Chief Ranger.
The chief, the main one.
Ranger Jim Lewis.
Yeah, yes. He's been over for a few years.
He's been there for a while now.
Yeah.
There's this date. I guess this kind of dates him. There are documents from like the late '90s that have his name on it. Really? Yeah.
The late Frank Caperton. Frank passed a year and a half ago. A lot of folks.
I think I did hear about that. I think in September they did an artillery demonstration, part of our living history sort of thing.
And they mentioned him or something.
I think he was part of the whole living history corps, and then They actually shot his ashes out of one of the cannons as sort of a salute.
Huh?
Yeah.
What now? I ain't never heard this one.
Somebody they did it in dedication to the, you know, obviously he was
For
already.
real?
Yeah.
I never heard that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Frank was a good guy. He had a heart of gold.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're a person of faith. I'm a person of faith. I mean, sometimes I don't get it right. Sometimes you may not get it right. Don't mean you got to be perfect. But I literally thought about it later that I seen God use Frank. And folks that knew Frank, I'm not saying nothing sarcastic. He's saying like Marty Luffman. I mean, you think, can God really use Marty Luffman? Could God use our pastor? Our pastor he talked about the prodigal son this morning. That was a good message, you know. Many of us were prodigal sons. I mean, I went through a little spell when I was 14, 16, 19, that sort of, but it was a great message. But man, Frank introduced me to so many people here in Murfreesboro. I mean, whether it's Randy Allen, Habitat, you know, Stones River Battlefield, Edith Moore, that's trying to save the old shack. A lot of people would call it a shack, but it was built like 1910 by her.
The old cemetery community.
Cemetery community. A lot of folks don't know that. And he introduced me to the late Dr. George Smith. Yep. And I talked about George Smith at our chili cook-off last night. I want to thank Mary Watkins, the president of African American Historic Society of Rutherford County. She was there speaking, and a couple other ladies. And see, a lot of folks don't know that the first African American state lawmaker came from that area. Mm-hmm. The Sam Davis home. I never really thought about it, but that's called Old Jefferson. Yep. Back on the old maps, because we think of Smyrna, but then the Old Jefferson community, which we're doing the tour this Saturday, if folks are interested, 9:00. Roger Thomas is kind of helping with it, and looking for a few folks that can bring a golf cart out. If anybody's got a side-by-side, we got a lot of seniors that's going to be out there.
Where's it at?
At near Bell Buckle Road.
Okay, never mind.
Back in there. If folks know where the CUD water treatment plant is, it's down that way. If folks are interested, my cell is 525-3198, 615 area code. But we'll be there at 9:00, the Old Jefferson. It's the old boat ramp over there, East Fork boat ramp.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the over there. But
have you been through there?
Somewhere around Percy Priest.
Well, see, Marty Luffman's the one that built that trail like 30 years ago.
Oh.
You know? Yeah, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available with select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
Dr. Automotive Auto Repair and Maintenance Mechanic Shop Garage provides car owners in Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Laverne, and the Middle Tennessee area with excellent auto repair services. Deep-rooted experience in serving both foreign and domestic automobiles allows for proper diagnosis in a timely manner. Check them out online at autorepairsmyrna.com, call them at 615-220-0971, or stop on in at 1205 Hazelwood Drive in Smyrna.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
All right, we're back. Rutherford Magazine Show. Your host Mike Sparks with Jeremy Smith and our trusted little intern. So going back on your career real quick. When you what advisors or mentors did you seek on this career path that you're on?
Pretty much just personally, it was just me talking with my family, me with my folks, and just trying to just go over, what do I mainly want to do? Because like I said, I was trying to get a job in the media world, and it's a very open market, but it is a very competitive market.
Is it?
A lot of places just wanted the experience that I just didn't have.
Yeah. So you're not interning right now. You're working. You're getting paid.
By what do you mean?
I mean, you're a paid intern, or you're just
no. The gig at Stones River was not paid, unfortunately.
Okay, you're still doing that.
Whenever I feel like going down there. Officially now, I'm not contracted academically to do it. I just call up, Ranger Jim Lewis or Ranger John McKay, who was another chief ranger I guess
Have you taken the
chief ranger.
You taken the Myers-Briggs, or what some call the Briggs-Myers personality profile? You ever taken that?
Years ago, but
I think it has a lot of truth to it.
I took that and I matched with somebody from history who is very infamous. I'm not going to say who it is on the radio.
Jesse James?
Not him.
Infamous. Benedict Arnold?
In the last 70 years, who do you think is the most infamous historical figure?
Hitler? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did they even have him in there? Why would they even have him in there?
He's in that database.
Oh, so you're was he like a psychopath?
I can't remember what
so
the
you're
official.
Like a psychopath?
No, no, Mike.
No, I've got it. It's funny. I just got a phone with Alan Searcy, and Alan's wrote several books, and I was like, "Hey, man, can you call in the show?" He said, "Well, I'm on my way from Alabama. I've been at this conference, and I'm wanting him to do a book about the old Jefferson community." Yep. I said, it's just such a cool story. He does a lot of paranormal ghost stories, Yeah. And so he may call in. He said, "Look, I'm going to be in and out of cell signal, that sort of thing." So I told him, "Listen," but he said we were talking about strange coincidence. Mm-hmm. He said he met who is the guy that played Friday the 13th? Something Murphy.
Are you talking about the person who played Freddy?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about.
Anyway, he met the.
He met the guy.
He met one of the actors that plays the part.
Really? Wow.
Monty Myers, is that right?
I don't.
Okay, Mark Myers. Maybe it's Mark Myers.
Are you talking about the Halloween movies?
Yeah, all that.
Yeah, Michael Myers.
Michael Myers. I was going to say there's somebody yelling at the radio right now. It's getting it. Yeah, Michael Myers.
Okay.
I don't like that kind of stuff. I think it gives people ideas. That's why I don't like to watch that stuff. So you probably line up with Michael Myers' personality profile.
No.
Won't you take it again?
Probably. Yeah. Probably.
You can take it. It's free. Just Google Myers-Briggs. Like mine come in. It's called Campaigner.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally what it's called. But there's another phrase called champion, like you champion an issue, you're passionate about things. But like my wife's called Defender. She's very, she's more well-reserved and more of an introvert. I'm more extroverted.
Okay.
And
now I know what you're talking.
Well, it talks about occupations that you'd probably be good at.
Well, there's a lot.
But here's what's neat. It may give you some famous people that's in that person. I don't know how they would know that unless that person's taking it too. Yeah. But this thing is well researched. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. But mine, it says you'd be good at writing, radio, politics, and it's hit all the things I've been doing. But then it says you wouldn't be good at like law enforcement because you don't want to follow orders. It kind of says your personality does not like to follow the rules.
Yeah.
Well,
the thing, why I said like there's a lot of things, because I actually know what you're talking about now. There's another test that's very convoluted and it gives you like this whole thing, but that's where the whole Hitler matching with Hitler thing sort of came. But I know what you're talking about because I took that same exact test when I was a cadet in ROTC.
Yeah, I think what you do, like if you get confirmation, maybe one of your professors say, "Hey, why don't you do this?" Or somebody says, "Man, you're good at this. You have a gift." Like you're a drummer.
Yeah.
I mean, do you sing too?
Yeah.
I mean, has people told you can sing good?
Yeah.
So that's probably encouraged you. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. But yeah, going back on a couple things a minute ago, but the reason why I said there's a lot of things that my whole personality or whatever could fit into like a whole bunch of occupations, because I can fit myself into that occupation, whatever it is, because I feel like I can adapt to whatever situation that I'm in. That's not me tooting my horn. That's not me tooting my own horn, but I just feel like I'm pretty adaptable to.
Well,
whatever.
You seem reasonable.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't reasonable.
Yeah.
A lot of people are narcissists. I think narcissism on the rise in this country. Do you know any narcissists?
Yeah, and also there's a lot of.
Do you know any narcissists? Seriously, egos. It's on the rise. I promise.
And not only that, there's also a lot of people who are hardline on a lot of things. They will not budge. They are, for lack of a better term, stubborn in their beliefs.
Well, I think it goes back to life experiences.
Yeah.
This event this Saturday, there was two big events going on, folks that like history. There's the African American Heritage Society has an event at the courthouse with a monument. Miss Katie Wilson invited me, and Mary Watkins invited me to say a few words. And then I'm going to try to make it to, I'm going to make it to the old Jefferson community at 9. There'll probably be a few folks gathering it. I'm assuming it's going to be cold Saturday morning, but if folks want to come out, to me, the old Jefferson story is one of the coolest stories in the state of Tennessee. I mean, that was the county seat at one time. Then the Trail of Tears come through, and then Roger Thomas, the interpreter at the Sam Davis home, he said somebody called him or something and said that Jesse James come through there. But then Alan Searcy said, well, Jesse James went through a lot of places, you know. But it is really, the first black lawmakers from that community, Samson Keeble. So what other, how can you grab, what other historic value can you pull in Native Americans, African Americans, Caucasians? The Wheeler's raid around Rosecrans was up the road. A lot of history. And then they said a lot of the plantations were burnt coming through there back during the Civil War. Jackson, we got a caller. Caller, go ahead.
Hey, Representative Sparks, this is your buddy, Pastor Randy Burke.
Hey, I was just talking. Did you hear me talking about you?
I met my grandson's birthday here in Lebanon, so when I saw your text, I thought I'd just kind of feel away and say howdy.
Well, I was like shocked and surprised that you won a chili cook-off. How did you pull this off? Did you go get some Vienna or Wendy's or something and put it in a crock pot? How'd you do this? How'd you pull it off?
Well, I'm not going to give everybody the recipe because I've won a couple contests with this thing. I say that truthfully, but
he's got trade secrets there, Mike. He's not going to share.
I bet.
But in honesty, it was not cheap chili. Okay.
Yeah.
I had a dream sheet with a lot of different components in it that I've added to over the years, and I went hog wild over at the grocery store and just got all the elements and just kind of put it together. Didn't have a whole lot of time because it was a busy day.
Yes.
With church obligations and stuff, but just the joy of knowing I was going to get a chance to hang out with you and assist your campaign, and then see other wonderful people in the community. I mean, I was just kind of inspired and incentivized by it to go ahead and throw my typical stuff in the pot and see what happens. And we had a lot of entries, didn't we, Rep?
Well, we had 20-something. My wife had a turn. I told her, I said, don't be hurting nobody's feelings because, people arrive late. But the judges, they started it exactly at 5. And, you got to kind of put some rules in there. And she did have to turn down one group that came in. And, I mean, people still got access to chili, but and I don't think they were upset or anything, but it does get competitive. I mean, I'm not trying to sound sarcastic. I was really surprised you won, and I looked over because I
was surprised.
Well, I looked when my wife showed me. She said, "Hey, here's the tally," because our judge is Commissioner Carl Boyd, newly appointed Judge Terry Fan, Jeremy Gurley stepped in, and Brittany Stevens, and I already seen it, so I was like, "Oh wow, that's neat." Al Anderson's wife Terry won, and because he hung out at all the history events, and then Brad Austin, and Brad's father passed away a couple of years ago, and Brad's been just such a good young man and works hard, and I was surprised to see him. And then I looked over at you because it was a countdown to first place, and you had this look. I wish I had it on video because you were like in shock.
What happened was my dentures fell out, and they had to look for them on the floor. I was so surprised.
Well, you had the craziest look, like what? And but you know what's interesting about the chili contest? You know, it's what's cool is like everybody has an opportunity.
Yeah,
like
that's one of the main reasons I called you. Let me tell you, what I experienced last night and the joy of that occasion, just hobnobbing with really precious folks and who believe in what you're doing in your public service. I will just say this in short. It was on grand display yet again last night. I mean, I love God's genius and creativity regarding, his whole idea of people congregating around food.
Yep.
And I saw it last night, the communal thing that's inherent with that, that can take place, because at that Sam Davis venue last night for you, Rep, I enjoyed many, many rich, shared conversations with people, and wonderful exchanges. And here's the thing I observed, Mike, is that, honestly, regardless of race, political party, Christian denomination, the Spirit of Christ was there.
Yeah.
And we enjoyed him around humble crock pots of chili.
Yeah, it played out well. We started off that morning with a prayer breakfast, and hats off to Mark Lewis for putting that together. Then we had the Smyrna History Series and Seward Air Force Base history. Like John DeBerry couldn't make it in. I mean, he acted like, he told me beginning, he said, Mike, I got to do a funeral in Memphis, and then I'm going to head your way. He thought he could time it, and he sent me a text of the program of the funeral, and it was like 50. I've got it here in front of me. It was like 15 people were going to be speaking at this person. He said it was one of their main church members in Memphis, but it's, John's often on the radio with me, and he was at your event. You put the big revival together. Why would you want to do a revival? You think that's really going to make a difference in the community?
Well, and the thing is, you can't really ultimately facilitate or create a revival. You have to pray for God to honor your efforts, and he brings the revival, right?
Yes,
and I got to tell you, Mr. DeBerry brought revival to Rutherford County that day at our church.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, I was forever changed, as were almost everybody that was in that room when that gentleman got up there and just spoke extemporaneously out of a full spirit. And
he's a real deal.
Many weathered real-time and hard experiences, life-tested things. And I hesitate to make the comparison because, DeBerry is his own man in the Lord, but he and Martin Luther King, they are definitely, he's on par with him.
Oh, I've said that.
As far as I'm concerned, he has that strength of conviction and intensity and influence if allowed to speak at any venue. And even though we didn't get to hear him last night, I got to be honest, I'm waiting with bated breath for you to be able to coordinate with him.
I think he's coming in to Rutherford County, I think, this week. I think he may be popping in the GOP office to speak to young Republicans, if I'm not mistaken. I'd heard something about the 10th he was coming in. And Josh Rosales, I think, Latinos for Tennessee, I think, is putting that together. About this event we're doing this Saturday, the tour of the old Jefferson community. A lot of folks don't realize there used to be a city that was before Smyrna, and then TVA and the Corps, when they were damming Percy Priest Lake, they flooded the area, and they bought everybody out. And, in a lot of the land, it really didn't rise like they calculated it. And it's really a sad story that people lost their farms. And, they were compensated, but they were compensated, a pittance.
Yeah.
If those people still had that farm, they'd be multimillionaires today. But, the Trail of Tears come through there. My understanding that the Lady in the Wizard of Oz, what's the lady's name?
Not Ward.
Garland?
Julie Garland.
Julie Garland.
Yeah.
Her grandparents.
Judy Garland.
Judy Garland were, I think the Gum family, if I'm not mistaken, from out there. But that was where Stony Lonesome was, that the Keeble plantation was at. And a lot of kind of famous folks came out of that. Marshall Keeble was a great pastor. And then Samson Keeble, the first African-American lawmaker, came out of that area. But, going back to DeBerry, he is, have you seen that clip? I shared it on Facebook the other day, where journalist Roland Martin covered it. He was with CNN. And if folks want to see something neat, just go to YouTube, type in Roland Martin, John DeBerry. But it has a WTAL H, I think it's WTH, which is an acronym, you know, for what the, and he even calls out the Democrat Party for what they did. They tried to censor DeBerry's voice, and if folks want to see a modern day Joseph story, like Genesis 50 verse 20, what they meant for evil, God meant for good, because all they did was create his voice stronger, you know. And you help echo that voice by hosting him at your church just a few months ago.
Well, it's just the whole Esther principle for such a time as this. I mean, God has men and women that He's creating and developing character in them in seclusion, you know, and He's working on them. And then when the venue presents itself, we're ready. I mean, he spoke extemporaneously that day at Grace
that
Church.
guy's smooth.
And what he said, and the things, and the dynamics of them, and the phrases. I'm sitting there, my jaw was just on the floor, like so much godly wisdom coming through there, and proverbial in its nature. For relevant life application, you know.
Yes, he's just such a humble guy. You know, the governor appointed him. I don't think he likes me mentioning his salary, but anyways, it's I don't know what's the term when something goes up. Let's see, it'd be quadrupled, I guess, almost quadrupled his salary thanks to Governor Bill Lee. He's the first African American to be on the same floor. First floor of the state capitol. And if you notice, mainstream media will never tell you that.
Yeah, we understand how it works. Just trying to create a perception, distort a perception that there's one party that's totally dismissive of a certain race, which is not a true reality.
Well, you know, George Orwell. You ever studied 1984? A Brave New World. He had a quote that I think is very timely in the times that we live. George Orwell said, "Telling the truth will become a revolutionary act." Just telling the truth, because the truth. I mean, it's sad that there is propaganda, there is fake news. I've seen it, I've witnessed it, I've been the brunt of it sometimes. But you know what's cool is every time that stuff's come against me, all it's done is made me better. It's just helped me.
In the opportunity I had to preach today, I'll ask preachers, we can get preachy, so I'll try to avoid the temptation. But today in my messaging, I've pointed out a little bit about the venue, and then the whole idea today, whether it transcends political or all the social institutions. Tony Evans talks about this, the man of God, Tony Evans, that we have such a crisis of leadership and authority on this planet. And so the enemy wants to continue to pit us against each other when what we really need are people like Mr. DeBerry, irrespective of an R or D or anything else, who just flat out have character. Character that we can trust and be benefited from. And rather than be pitting against, listen for positive authority, you know, people that God Almighty is speaking through, and listen to the principles of what they're saying, and let's all be benefited by that.
Yes. Well, let me ask you this as a pastor, because you're I mean, would you say you're a little unconventional?
You know, the Bible talks about us being a peculiar people, and I think it means don't run out there and be weird. It means we should be distinctively, I hesitate to say this word because it has such bad connotations for a lot of people now, distinctively submissive to a higher authority, because Jesus never did an independent act. A lot of people don't realize this, but even the Son of God didn't come here and just toot his own horn and spout off his own ideology. He continually was about the Father's business. And because he subjugated and submitted himself to the presence of God and the voice of God, we saw what he did and how history was affected because Jesus did that. He wasn't about self-promotion.
Yes.
And so, I mean, what an incredible concept.
It is, yeah.
Men around this planet could just stop the self-promotion and let God use them, you know, and be an influence for humanity so there's less misery on this in this world, you know?
Yes. I had I wondered if you'd be bragging about your chili in your sermon today. Because I
was tempted, but I did not mention it. I was very tempted.
Well, I told you, I texted you earlier, and I said, you know, the look on your face was just priceless. I wish I had it on video. You know, the one regret that I had yesterday, I did not hire a photographer. I really wasn't thinking about it, and I wish I could have got the look on your face and a couple of these other people that won it. But
it was a joy.
I told you, I said, there's a sermon there, and I said, here's the title. God help me to remain humble because I know I'm the best chili cook-off chef in Rutherford County.
You're in that case. Listen, man, I've got too many things about me that are unfinished to get all the big head about chili. So,
well, let me ask you. You think because I was talking about you today to somebody, and you've got a music background that's kind of interesting. I mean, are you willing to share on the radio how you got handed a guitar?
Oh, the story about the guitar. In fact, I played that guitar today.
No, not that story. The first guitar you've ever got when you were a kid.
Oh, about the prison.
Yeah.
Or the one about from the Kinks. I mean, there's a lot of guitars.
No, the one, wasn't you in a juvenile detention facility?
Yes, let me give the short version of that.
Okay.
And I'm glad you give me the opportunity here because I'll cut to the chase. I was very tactile. I still am. I love to get my hands on things, but now God has taken that and restored it to what it was supposed to be for.
Yeah.
But back then I didn't have direction, and so I was a thief. I was practically a kleptomaniac.
Yeah.
My parents, I was constantly trying to find ways to untie knots and sneak out of my room at the age of 3.
Wow. Yeah.
Couldn't keep my hands off things. Keep my hands out of the cookie jar, no matter how many times I got spanked.
Yes.
And then got into shoplifting and all these different things. But to run the clock forward to the age of 15, after a lot of heartbreaking experiences, my parents allowed California legal system to incarcerate me at Camp Miller in Malibu, off the coast of Malibu Beach. So
yeah.
It's kind of like junior prison reform school. Very heartbreaking place. And while I was there, feeling hopeless, Mike, this family came there. They were from a Catholic church, and they would do folk masses with guitars. Now, this was, my goodness, this was 1960, what was it, 60, 65, 67, right in there, 68. And so here's what happened, to cut to the chase. They would come there on occasion and speak. And they looked around and happened to observe that some of us had old beat-up guitars in there, and they wanted to do something to assist, so they came back. And their last name, I kid you not, was the Love Family. That was
Love
their
Family? Okay.
legal name. So, and I've never forgotten this, as obviously you can tell it impacted me. They came back, and they said, listen, we have a folk choir at our church. Are there any of you who would like to play guitar in the folk choir? We've got brand-new guitars. Well, I lit up like you saw me at that chili contest.
Yeah, you did.
I went, what? And so I got to slip out of there once every couple of weeks to go play in the folk mass and play guitar, and they bought new guitars for that camp. Well, I've always associated ever since love and guitars and music with that event. So God got my attention through that, and I've been forever permanently affected in a good way. That's in the kingdom of God, there's music, there's love.
Yeah.
There's encouragement, there's hope.
Yeah.
And Jesus made it possible. So that was my first, I would say, supernatural intervention from God with a guitar. But I've had about half a dozen of those, but that was the first one.
Yeah. Now, the other guitar that the story you were going to go into was the revival story, right?
Yeah, and we used that guitar as kind of a testimonial centerpiece for the event we did back in the earlier fall. We called the Revive Rutherford. And do you want me to share that one very briefly?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I don't want to presume upon your time.
No, you're good.
Basically, my daughters and I were out for Father's Day, and I love to go thrifting with my daughters. We love to go to thrift stores, and so we were going into a thrift store, and there was a pawn shop next door, and I said, why don't we make a little diversion in there? We walked in. The first thing I saw was this beautiful aquamarine guitar hanging on a peg, and it was beautiful, but it looked neglected. It kind of reminds me of me. I mean, I had potential, but I was a neglected soul.
Yeah.
And I take this as an illustration for anybody. We may be a mess, but when the Master touches us, we can become a thing of beauty. And so I saw this guitar. The strings were broken. It was dusty, tarnished, but I could see the beauty underneath all that stuff. And I brought it up to the desk, and it had a price tag of $60 on it. Okay?
Yeah.
So I asked the guy, I says, is there a case with this? And I was just asking some related questions. And then I looked at it, and there was an itch in me that there's something more to this guitar. I couldn't put my finger on it. I'd never seen the brand name before. And so I looked it up online and found out that it's a very collectible. It's called the Fernandez, Fernandes.
Yep.
And unbeknownst to me, these were guitars that were made in Japan to perfectly clone early Fender domestic guitars that cost thousands of dollars.
Oh, okay.
And so this guitar was sitting there with a price tag of $65, and my jaw dropped, again, like at the Chili Fest. God astonished me yet again.
Yeah.
And I said, this is $65? He says, yeah. Well, I laid it down real quick. I says, can you read to me what this says here on the saddle where the strings are? He says, he took out his glasses. I think it says Fernandez. And as soon as he said that, I laid my money down and ran out of there. Praise God.
Yeah.
I knew this guitar right out of the gate was worth over $1,000. So I brought it home, cleaned it up. I could care less, Mike, about the price and the value of this guitar because here's what happened. When I got home, cleaned it up, took the tarnish off, put new strings on it, tuned it up, and played that thing, I was astonished of how beautiful it sounded,
yes,
how wonderfully it played. And so I thought, there's a story in this beyond just me having this joy. I need to share this joy.
Yeah.
So we put that on the banner, and we talked about it at Revive Rutherford. And it's just yet another story about how God can take us where we feel like we haven't much to offer, and with a little bit of his touch, we can be an instrument of his peace.
Well, I think one important aspect of that, do you want to talk about what the words on the neck of the guitar was?
Yeah, well, I mean, and see, that's the thing. It says Electric Sound Research Group, ESRG, and a lot of those guitars didn't have that stamp on it, but the identifier for this guitar was that it said that stamped into the steel saddles on the bridge. So that basically legitimized that it was an authentic...
No, I mean the Revival. Remember the Revival name?
Oh, excuse me, yeah. Well, that's the obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it? That, that instrument was just basically sitting there, who knows how many years neglected, and it needed to be made alive, right? It needed to be used, right? And sometimes I feel like I hung on a peg on a wall for a long time.
Yes. Well, but the neck does say Revival. It says Revival. Yeah.
It says Revival. On all 6 of those bridge inserts, it is stamped in steel.
Yes, yes.
And I've never seen a guitar in all my years as a musician that had the word Revival.
That was what, 2 days or the next day after we had the original meeting for the Revival idea?
Yeah. Now you're adding to the other important component. We sat at the church and discussed what we sensed from the Lord that Rutherford County needed, and so we thought, well, let's just call this Revive from Rutherford.
Yeah.
And then I go out of there, and my daughter's. We go to the thrift store, and there's a guitar that has it stamped on there, and that's why I couldn't wait to call you.
That was that was cool. Well, I mean, you come from not Pentecostal, Assemblies of God background, right?
No, actually, I come from Plymouth Brethren, old early America stock. My aunts and uncles, I mean, they were all elders in the Plymouth Brethren, and in those assemblies, there is no formal pastor salary. The men have the responsibility for their families and their church gatherings to bring the truth of God. So I come from a background that is, it really brings
well, real quick, Pastor, before we go to break, I want to thank you for hosting the funeral for that officer who was tragically killed in the car wreck in Smyrna. So want to thank you for doing that. And you always said that you want that church to be a light. And let's face it, Laverne, Tennessee, no disrespect, they need some light. They need some hope over there.
Every community needs the light of the Lord to help them.
They've had a lot of challenges last year. But I appreciate you stepping up for the pastor, the new police chief, and the community, and just the average person. Thank you so much, Randy. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
God bless you not.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliates.
Dr. Automotive Auto Repair and Maintenance Mechanic Shop Garage provides car owners in Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Laverne, and the Middle Tennessee area with excellent auto repair services. Deep-rooted experience in serving both foreign and domestic automobiles allows for proper diagnosis in a timely manner. Check them out online at autorepairsmyrna.com, call them at 615-220-0971, or stop on in at 1205 Hazelwood Drive in Smyrna.
Hey Rutherford County, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. What do big box, fake safes, face masks, and Joe Biden have in common? They don't work, and they promise things that isn't true. So don't get a Joe Biden level of security. Come down to the Safe House and see what a real safe looks like. Unlike most of the other safe dealers in the area, we have safes in stock, ready for delivery. And at the Safe House, gun safes are sales tax free. That's right, sales tax free. So drop by the store or go to NashvilleSafehouse.com. That's NashvilleSafehouse.com.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
This is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
Hey, we're back. Rutherford Magazine Show. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Talk a little history. Want to thank Alice Rowley, who ran for mayor of Nashville. Almost won for coming out last night. Alice is just a rock star. I could see her being the governor of state Tennessee in probably 8 years from now, you know. But also want to thank Rick Hall for telling me about the DeWitt Smith Job. I never really knew much about the DeWitt Smith Job story. He's buried out the Coleman scout that was tortured, hung by the Yankees back during the Civil War. His grave's still up there off of Rocky Fork Road, the end of Morton. His old homestead's still there. A lot of history that folks don't really know about. Speaking of history, I think we've got author Alan Searcy on the phone. Alan, how you doing?
Hey, thank you, Representative Sparks. Good to be on the line with you.
Yeah, are you picking us up okay? I know you're traveling right now.
Yes, sir. I'm coming through Nashville as we speak.
Did you go to 1450 AM or did you go to 100.5 FM?
I used the app on the website.
Oh, okay. Did the app? Okay. Well, there's a new WGNS antenna located over there and towards Laverne across from Target off I-24, and I think that was installed 2 years ago. But, yeah, you're going to join us this Saturday for the tour of Old Jefferson Community, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it. It's a very interesting piece of Middle Tennessee history. It's kind of just gone. I'd love to learn more about it.
Well, you were. I was talking. I don't know if you heard me mention you. We were talking about confirmations. I know you're a strong believer. And how many books have you written?
Oh man, it's around 20. I've kind of lost count, sir.
Well, who was the guy that you were talking about? Jeremy knew. I'm not big into movies and all. Was it Mike Myers, or something? Michael Myers.
Jason Voorhees.
Okay, so he's the actor that plays that part.
Yes, sir. One of them.
Wow. Okay. How big a fella is the guy? I'm just kind of curious. He's like 6'2" or something?
He's 6'2", 6'3". He's a pretty big old boy.
Really? What does he do now? I mean, is he still acting? And
yeah, he's an actor. I think he's on Stranger Things. He's been a handful of films.
What and you were talking about are you taking some screenplay classes or
no, sir. I've written all these books, haunted history, and I've got crazy tales about grave robbery and just mediums and shady mediums who are just scamming folks for money. But the tales are just outrageous. And last April, I got on my knees and I prayed about it. I felt like I kind of plateaued. I didn't know what to do. I've got a good following locally, but I feel like I need to go the next step. I don't know what to do. So I had a booth at the Gallatin Square Fest like I do every spring and every fall. And I said I had a pretty good day. I'm about to leave. And this gentleman walks up and says, hey, we should go eat lunch one day. I said, okay, sure, man. You know, what's your name? Well, he told me he just moved here from Los Angeles. He's a screenwriter. Not only was he a screenwriter, but he wrote a book about screenwriting.
Oh, wow.
And he gave it to me.
Yes.
So it's kind of like the Lord works in mysterious
Yes,
ways. And then
amen.
I'm at this convention today, and this guy, I'm talking to him. He's like, oh, yeah, well, I'll play Jason Voorhees, and we should get together. And not only we talked, I live in Gallatin. He lives in Hendersonville, like 10 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just trying to make it all work.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I got in touch with you through, you know, I was talking about doing, every October I try to do shows around paranormal, ghosts, things like that, you know, Battlefield or whatever. And, you know, I've been studying a little bit of film and communication, a little journalism at MTSU past, I guess, 6 years, 8 years maybe. I have taken one screenwriting class. And I had said a prayer, Lord, send me somebody who could help me with writing and communication, you know, because I'm limited on my time of trying to learn. And, you know, I've wrote 3 books, but I do not consider myself a good writer. You know, I'm still learning. And here's what's cool. All of a sudden, we get a new assistant press secretary, and he's literally across from my office. Josh Cross, who come up on the air with me. He's the one that introduced me to you. You know, I think he wrote for the Tennessean, wrote for Main Street Media, Gallatin News, and he knew your story. How'd y'all cross paths?
Well, years and years ago, I used to manage MMA fighters. And
That's
John,
right.
He worked at a website that covered mixed martial arts, and I kind of got in with him, and I got him passes, and just kept up with him. I had a friend of mine, or one of my guys I worked with, got in the WWE, and I kind of got him hooked up with him at WrestleMania. Just we kind of kept touching each other, and it's when I wrote my Gallatin book in 2019, I took it down to his office and talk about intimidation. You know, like you, I'm kind of 2019. I wasn't a very good writer. I don't think I'm not that great anyway.
Yes.
I think the book, and I put it in Josh's hands. I'm thinking, you know, this guy's forgot more about journalism than I'm ever going to know. And just, you know, Josh is a great guy. And like you said, I'm glad you and him hooked up because he can really help you.
Oh, he's been such a, but I do believe in the power of prayer. There's no doubt that the Lord will bring people in your life to lift you up and inspire you, encourage you. But I know you and I were talking. I was kind of hoping you're kind of going to do a book about, maybe you tied into paranormal of old Jefferson. I don't know if there's any ghost stories out there. I said that Jesse James come through there, and you were saying that Jesse James went through a lot of areas.
Well, Jesse James, little known fact is his aunt was married to the jailer in Bardstown, Kentucky. So when he had a big score, he would lay low and go to Bardstown and stay in the Nelson County Jail. That was just his hideout.
Really?
So in Bardstown is probably maybe a day ride on a horse, you know, to Gallatin, Castilian Springs. He's up in Sumner County a lot, but him and his family had a house in Nashville. I mean, he was all over the area. So being in Old Jefferson or even in Murfreesboro, it's not that far of a stretch to say Jesse James was there.
Yes. Well, I've seen a plaque up there near the Jolton area back when I was working for Coca-Cola in like 24, 25. I remember seeing a plaque of was his brother and him stayed at some tavern over there?
In Jolton?
I thought it was a little road going to Jolton.
I know he stayed in Wynwood and Castilian Springs, the old Mineral Springs Resort. And he bought a horse from Judge Guild at Rosemont in Gallatin. So, yeah, I mean, he was everywhere.
They bought a horse from a judge?
Judge Guild, Judge Josephus Con Guild. He had a horse farm in Gallatin. But he made a lot of money selling horses, and Jesse James bought one from him.
Are you still covering the MMA fighting stuff? Are you still kind of enthusiast with all that?
I still love to watch it. You know, all the guys I worked with, they got older, got married, and had kids, settled down, and, you know, I got married and had a child of my own, kind of backed away. I still like to watch it, but, you know, I was traveling to Las Vegas once or twice a month, going to Florida. I was San Jose. I was always on the go, and having children and a wife, you can't really do that.
Have you seen, there's a couple of videos out there on, I guess, YouTube, and it's an MMA fighter that's a strong Christian, and this guy's like taunting him, and then, you know, he's saying that you know, that the guy was going to give him, you know, strength and, you know, and encouragement, and then the other guy's taunting him, and then he just tears that guy up, and then it was like the next video shows that guy becoming a Christian. Have you seen that?
I know Bryce Mitchell is very outspoken. I think he's from either Memphis or somewhere in Arkansas, and he's very outspoken about his faith, and he holds up the Bible after his his fights, and they kind of make fun of him. And
well, that one guy, who's the guy that kind of is a moderator, and then he was saying, "Hey, keep all that faith stuff at home," and then the guys are still speaking up. I mean, I think it's just powerful.
I think it was Michael Bisping, the former UFC middleweight champion, who was talking smack about it.
Yeah, there's some.
Joe Rogan, the other commentators don't really mind.
Yeah, there's some nice stuff out there. Well, thank you, Alan, and I'll see you and others this Saturday, January 13th, Buckeye Bottom Road for the tour of Old Jefferson. We'll see y'all next week. Thank you, Alan.